Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.
New on Curiosity Stream. With superior armies comes superior weapons. How has innovation mechanized the battlefield? From bullets to battleships and everything in between. It's machinery of warfare. Plus, from the gross to the gourmet. See how that in-flight meal lands on your tray table. On secrets of your airline food. It's all on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your driver's license is important so you can get back and forth to work, get your kids to school, and back and forth to daycare. If your license has been suspended because you can't pay your tickets, you can't do any of those things. Let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may have heard the tickets cannot be discharged, but they can be dealt with in a Chapter 13 case. Why not come in for a free consultation? The chapter you choose will make all the difference to your getting back legally on the road. Let's design a plan to pay off your tickets and restore your license immediately. I'm attorney Travis Gagne. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
Hey, this is Everett Fitzhugh from your Seattle Kraken. I want to wish KISW a very happy 50th anniversary. Congratulations on all of the accomplishments and strides you've made. Here's to 50 more great years.
Yeah, and Everett, here's to like 50 great years of Kraken hockey with you behind the mic.
Yes, and multiple Stanley Cup championships.
Oh, yes.
Let's go.
It is our 50th anniversary weekend brought to you by Palace Law here on The Rock. And make sure you go to KISW.com and check out the new KISW 50th merch. I am telling you, man, the hoodies, the T-shirts, the hats, the beanies.
Yep.
There are some sweet-looking things.
We're all wearing something.
I am so happy to get this as quickly as I did because they look good. And, of course, the 50th is the golden year, so you got that rock blazoned in gold. I love that. Oh, you check it out at KISW.com. And all day long, we are celebrating 50 years of The Rock.
BJ, very excited. We're celebrating the 50-year anniversary of KISW, and this is pretty damn awesome. We've got Joel McHale on the Zoom.
So, Joel, 50 years. 50 years, not a lot of radio stations around the country can say that, and that is your hometown station.
Yeah, believe me, when this offer came through, and I was like, that can't be right. And then I realized I turned into my father, especially the lower half of my body. But yeah, it really, congratulations to you guys for continuing the tradition. Seattle, as you've heard a million times, was just a sleepy little town that had lumber and planes, and that was about it. And of course, I think, KISW was very much responsible for people like Kurt Cobain listening to Kiss and Black Sabbath in the 70s and 80s, and them, people going, well, hey, we can make our own music. And so it ushered in something that came out of wonderful creativity. And that's why Seattle's always had a warm place in my heart, other than the serial killers and drugs.
Minus that, yeah.
Other than the murder, it's a really great town.
They were listening to other radio stations, those serial
killers.
Yeah,
they were listening to K+.
Right.
I remember growing up, it was like KSW, K+, which was 101.5. And then there was KZOK that kind of played older music that was like, it wasn't exactly on the same cutting edge as KISW, but they were like, okay, we're going to play all this Who and Led Zeppelin because they've been ushered in. And then KISW would be like, I don't know, this is called Rat. Here we go. And so it was definitely seen as kind of the harder station in the Northwest, and with the chainsaw station, if you will.
You know what? We've never been called the chainsaw station before, and I think that's how we got to 50. That's how.
I remember. Like the Mountain. There was a station in Seattle forever. 103.7. The Mountain was around forever. And what do you call it? Way back, 107.7. That young upstart didn't come in until like the very early 90s. Like, where did this new kid? But KISW always was there, and thank God somebody's playing rock because, obviously music has changed and there's some incredible stuff happening, but rock was always like, we need a guitar, we need a bass, we need some drums, and we need some really hair all the time.
Obviously, here in Seattle, you have so many great bands that have come out and been played on KISW. Do you have any that are favorites for you? I mean, we always have that debate of like the big four, the Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam. But for you, what was one of the bands that connected most to your style and your taste?
Boy, it was so strange to be in high school and college and go to rock shows. I remember going and seeing Alice in Chains a bunch of times, and like the Posey, they were always like third or fourth band. And then you got to that weird moment in 92 or whatever, 93, where you're like, hey, that just played the Off-Ramp is now on KISW. What's going on? And it was like this little weird test if like, okay, the band has made it to KCMU. Okay, now the band has made it to KISW, which they were always more rock than anybody. And it was also, kids took it for granted that you're like, well, yeah, every town has their own rock scene. And then like most of those bands become successful. I mean, that's how it goes, right? And so I think like bands like Sunny Day Real Estate, when they came in, I'm thinking like Modest Mouse and 764 Hero, but I was always like rock and alternative. I always rode those things. And it's really not later on until life that I really sat down and appreciated Black Sabbath the way that I should have. Because I think every single kid in the smoking section of my high school, yes, there was a smoking section where students and teachers would smoke. And so when I hear like it's so progressive today and it's so like cutting edge, I was like, I don't know, do you guys have a smoking section? That's bananas now. And now I'm like, I think Black Sabbath is the greatest rock band of all time. Like, this is so strange, but like I know Kelly Osbourne from You're on The Masked Singer and all these other crazy things, and I'm just like, hey, by the way, your dad's a genius, and they need to make statues to him. And so, anyway, that's a very, very... I should be in radio because I never stop talking. I'm still talking. Look at this. I'm like a golden retriever chasing a ball. I can't stop. Help me. Stop me, BJ and Steve.
I'm just glad you brought up 764 Hero, man. Yeah. I haven't heard that band name in forever. Those guys were great.
764 Hero is... and then John Atkins, who... I'm confessing. I grew up with John. I went to CCD with John Atkins.
Joe, I definitely got to mention, man, it's cool to see all these game shows coming back, and you're bringing back one of the old faves, Card Sharks. You're doing that with ABC, and a lot of love to you for that. That is awesome, man. It's fun to see and a lot of folks with your talent, also like Craig Ferguson. You guys, it's awesome that you guys are hosting these games.
Old game shows. The games aren't broken, and now you can bring these games back. And it used to be that way back when that if you became a game show host or you were a television actor, you couldn't do movie acting. And then thank God for people like Jamie Foxx and The Rock and Alec Baldwin. Like when I'm on the Match Game, I look at Alec Baldwin, I was just like, I cannot believe this movie star is hosting this and being a goofball. And every time I see him, I was like, Alec, what were you doing 30 years ago on this day? And he was like, a lot of cocaine, Joel. And I can't believe I know the guys.
Again, Joel, thank you so much for spending time with us and basically helping us regale our 50th anniversary. And don't forget Card Sharks Sunday nights at 9:00 on ABC. You got to check that out. And we appreciate you being with us, Joel.
How long have you guys been on how long have you two been on the air? BJ, you've been around 20 years?
21 years I've been in town, but at The Rock, is it like 16?
16. Yeah, I worked at the end before that, so I've been here for 20 years as well, but I was at the end before that.
Wow. And obviously it's going well because people listen to the radio. I mean, it's a lost and wonderful, beautiful art. But all right, so if you guys could pick one band to tell me to listen to today, what would it be?
Glorious Sons.
Damn it, you took mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we're doubling down.
All right, the backup to Glory. So it goes Glorious Sons, and then what?
And then, well, all right. And Steve gets to say that because he's the one that turned me on to the Glorious Sons. I will tell you, for me, I like this band, Fever 333. They are like rock rap. I mean, it's
very Rage inspired, Rage Against the Machine.
I love both those bands, and they sound very different too. So you're going to get a different set of genres when you listen to both of those bands.
And then other bands.
Literally, when we hang up, I will put that on my phone.
Nice. And check out Highly Suspect. I think if you like the 90s era of alt rock, you'll really dig those guys. They got a
Highly
cool sound.
Suspect, Fever 333, and Glorious Sons.
Yep. Boom.
That's a good memory, Joe.
And Pearl Jam.
Yeah. There you go.
Joe, thank you so much for being with us, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Go Seahawks, go Mariners, go Storm, go Sounders, go Sonics.
Go
Kraken.
Yes.
Go Kraken.
That's right.
Even though that's what I would say right before, after a big breakfast, I would be like, I'm going to go unleash the Kraken now. I still go Kraken. Thank God they're there. They should have called them the serial killers because there's so many of them up there.
Right.
That's good.
Very intimidating.
Great jerseys.
Oh, it's good to be famous for something. It really is. Take it easy, Joel.
All right, you guys. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
See you in the studio someday when this is over.
That'd be awesome.
Definitely.
All right. Cool, guys. See ya.
Take care.
Cheers.
Lots of beeping out with Joel McHale. That's a fact. All right, we are now going to talk to you. We want to hear some of your favorite stories that have spanned the 50 years of KISW, as this is our 50th anniversary. 206-421-ROCK. Text us at 77999. Chris and Kent, you are on the Rock.
Good morning, gentlemen, and congrats on the 50 years.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Anything stand out for you that you enjoyed?
I started listening to The Rock when Ricker started, and he was a big, sort of a really big personality for me.
And he's going to be joining us at some point during Ryan Castle's show. You'll be hearing Ricker.
Nice.
Yes.
So I called him this morning to let you know a story, and I'll be as quick as I can. But before I start the Rick Riz interview, I think it was cool that he mentioned he was in Alexandria, Louisiana, as a DJ in his early career. My mom was born in Alexandria and was there around that time, so there's a pretty good chance she heard him while she was there.
That's funny.
Oh, that's wild.
Small world.
Yeah.
But so Pain in the Grass 2008, and I'll try to be quick with this. The night before the show, me and my friends were at a bar in Auburn, and we heard rumblings that 3 of the members, minus Jeff, was in the bar having a couple of drinks. So people were going up and talking to them, and they were really humble. But near the end of the night, when the night ended, everybody was outside smoking whatever, and their driver didn't show up to take them to the hotel, which was just down the street from the bar. And they asked out loud, hey, can someone take us to our hotel, which is just a few blocks down the street? And I chimed in and said, hey, I have a van, I'll take you. They were really humble. They hadn't had that many drinks. And sure enough, they get in my van. I take them down to the hotel, and they get my information and said, hey, you got 2 passes. You'll have 2 passes waiting for you tomorrow at Pain in the Grass.
That's awesome.
I was like, really? I wasn't even asking. So next day we head up there. I wasn't even planning on going because I had some other stuff to do, which I canceled because of Pain in the Grass. Went up there, sure enough, name was on the list, got passes. They were in the grass, but I don't care. They were free, and it was an amazing show.
Yeah.
And usually when you ask people to get in your van, they run away from you. So it was nice this time it actually worked out and you got tickets.
Yeah, and sometimes, every once in a while, sometimes they forget because they were drunk, and then you go, there's nothing here in your name.
Those Queens Right guys are good dudes.
I'm really glad it worked out that way. 206-421-ROCK. Text us at 77999. Our 50th anniversary here at The Rock. Margot, you are on The Rock.
Hi.
Hi, Margot. How about you?
50 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I remember when I was a little girl. I'm going to be 53 on Monday.
Oh, hold on. We're backing up.
Yeah. A news station, and my dad was really into music, and so he was like, you got to listen to this. They have the best music, and I started listening to you guys from the first day, I believe, and have been listening to you guys ever since.
So you're a little girl. So what were you, like, 2, 3, 4 years old?
I was almost 3 years old. And me and my dad used to go to the auto parts store a lot, and he'd leave me in the van and just turn on the radio, and he raced a car up at FAR, so we were there quite a bit.
Boy, that is awesome.
And you guys were my babysitter.
Oh, and there's got to be some great dad memories. Obviously, you in the car with him with the rock, and every time you hear the rock, it's got to bring back some good ones.
Oh yeah. Just he would come in to my room and say, "Hey, there's a new band going to play, and they're super, super good. You have to listen to this." And he brought me in. Jethro Tull. I remember I was about 10. He was like, "This is amazing," and played me Aqualung.
Oh my God!
Awesome. Yeah. And now I'm fortunate to be able to babysit my 2.5-year-old grandson. Every morning I walk to the door and I say, "You want to listen to the boys?" He says, "Yeah," and we turn on the Echo.
Oh, that is awesome. Margot, thank you. Talk about generations.
What's your kid's name?
My grandson, his name's Corbin.
Corbin, you rock.
Corbin!
Hi,
Corbin! Listen to your grandmother.
Yeah.
Say hi.
Margot, thank you so much for being with us literally since day one. I mean, really that, cool. and then also bringing in Corbin. If we get to 100th anniversary, Corbin might be going, yeah, I was, my grandmother used to listen and she made me listen. That is awesome. Again, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary here on The Rock.
BJ, very excited to have our next guest on. It's a man that manned these mornings on KISW for a decade with Bob and Spike. It is Downtown Joe himself, Joe Bryant, here with us on KISW 50.
BJ and Steve, great to reconnect with the station that got me really started on my path.
Yeah, Joe, Bob is, of course, Bob, Spike, and Joe, that was the big show that was on here for that decade, and, man, just killing it in the mornings here at The Rock. And Bob just always had the knack of finding people that nobody else would really think that, oh, I'm not going to put you on the radio. Well, good with you. But Bob realized, oh, no, you've got something. And Joe, I mean, he found you, and the three of you guys just, I mean, what a team. And I was fortunate enough to know you for a lot of years, seeing you at conventions. And it's really surreal for me that we both ended up working on this great radio station, KISW.
Yeah, and it was awesome, BJ. I knew you back when you were in Rochester, and Steve, we had a chance when you were at the end to be in the same building for a while. I don't know if anybody found me. I kind of found those guys when they came to town before they ever went on the air. I was working at a little hippie coffee shop up on Aurora Avenue.
What was the name of the hippie coffee shop?
Surreal Espresso, spelled SIRREAL. It was a gentleman named Keith Flowers, and he was surreal, and it was a very special time. It was established 8888, or anti-established, Keith liked to say, and we had a great. We had a great time there. In fact, another way I kind of got my feet into the radio with that whole thing was we sponsored the Grateful Dead Hour on another commercial station, and Keith said, "I'll pay to sponsor it, but only if you let my barista do the commercials." He used to do radio in high school, and so I kind of I did that, and I was always a fan of radio, but it really took off when I met Bob and started working as an intern at KISW.
Joe, one thing I noticed, like in the time that we've been here at KISW, and it's the first when anyone asks me about like what it's like working here, I always have to bring up just the audience. I think there's something really special about the people who listen. Not to try and like kiss our audience's asses, but I'm going to kiss our audience's asses. But there's something really cool about our audience. So passionate. Do you have any memories of like just the audience and the connection that you had? Because I mean, you guys 10 years on KISW. People still bring up Bob, Spike, and Joe. But what's like your experience and what's your memories of the KISW audience?
The Rockaholics were so engaged and were, I first started meeting people face to face in our audience because I went out to phone booths and I would call in. That's why they called me Downtown Joe. I went to a different phone booth every day. I would start
for the 20-somethings, a phone booth is like a giant cell phone that's in the streets.
Oh, yes, you can never do this now. I used to go on and play a game called Phone Booth Trivia, and I'd say first person here that gets here and answers the trivia question. The answer was always C, by the way. That was one of our bits. Gets to win a prize. And people would come flying in from all over the city because we were and still are. KISW is the number one station in town. You could never do that now for lots of reasons. Number one, there's no phone booths. Number two, it was pretty dang dangerous. We're lucky that nobody ever really got hurt. But that's when I first started meeting these wonderful bunch of people. We lost a bet one time for the Sonics, and we lived on a billboard down by the U-Haul, down off the right by the water there by the Puget Sound, by the U-Haul place. And for weeks, listeners came and brought us food. Alice in Chains was recording a record down the street. They would stop by after they were done. Randy Bachman came and played a live concert on our billboard. Some dude put a hot tub up down below so we could have a dip now and then if we ever got a feeling. And that was all listener driven. So I have a lot of great memories, and I just can't say enough about the KISW listeners. And I made relationships back then that I still hold true today, both people I worked with and people that listen to the radio station.
There's a lot of great memories with this station, Joe, and everybody we've talked to, we've asked that. So how about you? What sticks out in your mind in the 10 years that you were here, the great memories you have of The Rock?
Well, I will never forget the first time I was on the radio, and it was when I got my name. Bob said, and this was day 3 of being an intern, he said, if you go find a phone booth and call in, I'll put you on the air and give you a prize. I'd never been on a 100,000 watt station. So I drove down to Fife, and I went to the city jail. There was a phone booth by the city jail. This was 1990. And I called in, and this old farmer came on a tractor. I don't even know if you can drive a tractor in Fife, and I don't know what he was doing listening to The Rock, but he came, and it was funny. And Bob says, that was hilarious. We should send you to somewhere every day. We need to give you a name, because at that time I was just an intern. I don't even think they knew my name was Joe. They barely knew me. And they said, where do you live? And I said, in the Paramount. And I lived in the Paramount Theater for years. That's a whole other story. And Sean goes, where's that? And I said, well, right in downtown Seattle on Pine. And he goes, Downtown Joe. That's a good name. And there was some discussion of calling me Joe Blow, and I think Bob was the one who brought that up. So right there on the spot, as we were trying to figure out what to call me to go on the air again, it was decided I would be Downtown Joe, and that's a memory I will always have.
Joe, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I am happy to be part of this brother and sisterhood that you and I are a part of, and that is some of the folks that got to work at this great radio station, KISW, celebrating its 50th anniversary, Downtown Joe Bryant. Joe, thank you so much, man. A lot of love to you, bro.
Thank you, and when we can do it, let's have a big old party this summer to really celebrate, and I would love to be there, whatever you guys come up with. I'm anxious to be with people again.
Joe, love you, bro. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, guys.
We are celebrating 50 years of KISW all weekend, and you're going to be hearing some of our favorite rock stars, and yours too, as a matter of fact, as well as great KISW alum join us to share their stories. It's the 50th anniversary weekend.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.
New on Curiosity Stream. With superior armies comes superior weapons. How has innovation mechanized the battlefield? From bullets to battleships and everything in between. It's machinery of warfare. Plus, from the gross to the gourmet. See how that in-flight meal lands on your tray table. On secrets of your airline food. It's all on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too-big-to-fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.
It is our 50th anniversary weekend, brought to you by Palace Law. And you've got to check out the KISW logo generator at KISW.com. It's that, it basically takes, the rock and that great yellow bordered in red. Well, you can put your name and have it look as cool as that rock logo.
I just turned it and I wrote Tatum and Lulu.
Oh, that's a great team.
Rockified. Yeah, that's the new morning show.
So get rockified. Check out the KISW logo generator at KISW.com. I don't know if you heard, but all day long, we are celebrating 50 years of The Rock.
BJ, very excited as we're celebrating our 50-year anniversary on The Rock. We have a man who had a massive, massive input on the greatness that this radio station has been over the years, running the station back in the late 70s, into the early 80s, and into the mid-80s as well. We have former KISW General Manager Steve West on the phone.
Steve, good to have you with us, man. As we're celebrating the big 5-0, it is amazing how many great people have been in the halls helping this station get the 50 years of memories that we have. And you were a huge part of that, man. I mean, and this was a very rock and roll part of being in any radio station at the time.
I just want to say, first of all, just congratulations to everybody that's there that has maintained and kept that. You know, it's just the impact that daily is given on people's lives by an attitude that comes out of that radio station is just is something. And I mean, it's just touched hundreds of thousands of people in the greater Seattle market.
Guys like you and the people that came after you, you definitely did it right. You helped this stay as a very cool radio station that, you know, wasn't just about the music, though the music was a big part of it, especially with the Seattle scene. But you predated that. It was about having fun and just doing larger than life things.
Yeah, when I got to the station, I could see that okay, we have this product on the air. What can we do with that to make it really viable in the community all the way through? The Miss Rock hydroplane was something that started. I had been the chairman of Seafair hydroplane that weekend, the race, for a couple of years prior to coming to KSW, and we were sitting there on the Monday before the Sunday race. I just thought, you know, God, if we had a hydroplane, and Steve Montgomery was in our sales department, and Steve had some connections in the hydro field and friends, and I said, what do you think, Monty? And he says, I think I can find us an old hull. And by later Monday afternoon, we had 4 gallons of DuPont paint, spray guns, degreasers, and we were out there on this old hull in Auburn, scrubbing it down to get it ready, and got the first coat of black paint on it that night. It was all outside. Went back the next night for the second coat, and I had 2 sign painters coming in on Wednesday to do the graphics, and Jim had done all the design. And then it was just one of those things. It was like we didn't have an engine, and Jim, once again, Steve knew somebody that could put a crew together, and we pulled into the pits with the engine in the back of a pickup truck. You know, it's just those things that just spontaneously happen. We were an entry into the Torchlight Parade, not by their standards, but by ours, and had rock girls on the top, and it was just a hit, and the thing went on. But one of the funny things that happened is that we didn't get qualified until Sunday morning before the race. And the guy that owned the hull lived in Detroit, and he decided he wanted to drive. Brian Keogh was his name. And we told him, he said, you know, if anything's going to go wrong, have it go wrong in the north turn, because then they'll have to bring you along in front of the shore as they tow the boat back. And he didn't shut it off. It blew, but it happened to blow in the right spot. And I was in the pits, and I looked over, and there's thousands of people on the beach. And as this boat is towed down, it was like watching the slow wave. It was just like thousands of people would stand up, and as they moved down the shoreline, they would just kind of move along with them as doing the old-fashioned wave, but in slow motion. Brian they pull him into the pits, and he says, well, you guys told us you had a lot of fans. He said, but I had them swimming out to me in the boat with a beer.
We've been talking with Steve West, one of the great general managers we've had here at KISW, and we thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Once again, you guys, BJ and Steve, keep rocking. Kind of set it up for the next 50, all right?
That's the hope. That's definitely the hope.
All right.
Take care, Steve. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. See you later. Bye.
Oh man, that's great stuff, man. Because Miss Rock,
yes,
I mean she's been a staple of this radio station off and on for so many years.
Dude, we've gotten so many texts about Miss Rock, people that were involved with Miss Rock, from being part of the crew to people sharing stories of drinking with members of the Miss Rock team after the hydroplane races as well. It's been fun to read all the texts that we've been getting from people sharing their memories of KSW.
And that's what we're looking at from you. Whether you want to call us or text us at 206-421-ROCK, text us at 77999. Let's go to Alicia in Bremerton. Alicia, you are on The Rock, celebrating our 50th.
Yeah, happy anniversary, guys.
Thank you, Alicia. So, what about you? What do you got for us? What you remember about some of the time we had here at the Rock?
Well, this has happened a couple of years ago at Pain in the Grass 2018. My mother and I, we met you, BJ, at the booth, and the first thing my mother said when she met you was, "I remember when you were an angry, angry man."
Well, she wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
She wasn't wrong at all. Yes, and I hope that I wasn't an angry, angry man when I met you that day.
That would be great if you're like,
no, you're wonderful.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, my therapist would be very, very angry if I was still angry, because they put in a lot of work on me, those therapy people. That's awesome, Alicia. Thank you. I want to thank you. Yeah. I want to thank your mother for being with us. It's so awesome to meet folks when we do our live events. Let's go to Kevin in Seattle. Kevin, you are on the Rock celebrating the Big 5-0.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What do you got for us, brother?
So I remember when I was driving into high school, 2011, 2012, I would always listen to you guys in the morning, and then it just lined up so perfectly that every now and again I could call in and get that first spot on the question of the morning. Well, one day I'm driving in, and I don't remember what the thing was, but I called in about, like, hey, I hate it when people take up the overhead space on an airplane, because as a tall dude, I need that space under the seat in front of me. Anyway, didn't think much of it until I go to school, and then in my third or fourth period, my teacher stops in the middle of his lecture about, like, graphic design and looks at me and goes, "Kevin, were you on the radio this morning bitching about airport people?"
That is awesome.
It was definitely a really weird experience, as I thought I was in my own little bubble that nobody could hear me.
Good thing you didn't call in a bitch about your teacher.
I know that.
Yeah, it's always surprising when you realize that so-called respectable people actually listen to this fine show and this fine station.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're like, wait, you listen? Oh, man.
99.9 KISW celebrating its 50th anniversary. We're doing it all weekend long.
BJ, very excited to have our next guest on. Him and his band have had quite a great history with our radio station, so it's an absolute honor to chat with Kevin Martin from Candlebox.
Hey, Kevin, welcome, man.
Thanks, guys. It's my pleasure.
Kevin, it is crazy to think that anything can last for 50 years, especially in our business of radio. And you were, of course, on the other side of it because, well, you know, we got to play great bands like yours in that 50-year history. And we were just wondering, what was it like for you being in Seattle that entire time?
Well, I remember I moved to Seattle in 1984. So my dad had taken a job. I was living in Texas, and he'd taken a job with an old boss of his, and moved me to a city that was constantly raining in January of 1984, and I really did not know what life was going to hold for me. I remember coming from the sunny weather of Texas and being skateboarding every single day to sitting in my room trying to find something to do. And luckily there was a radio station called KSW where I could listen to some great rock and roll. So again, music helped me to escape a lot of those kind of depressing moments that one would find when, you're not able to go outside and do those things that you're normally used to. So I was grateful for that. And then as the years progressed, hearing the locals only radio station every Sunday night and getting to know a lot of the bands that were playing around the city, it really was pretty magical for a kid like me who really did not know much about kind of the rock and roll world. Texas was very much punk rock. I didn't really even find Led Zeppelin until I moved to Seattle. I didn't even know about them. So thankfully I was able to listen to Led Zeppelin on KSW. So, I mean, it was eye-opening and ear-opening for me, and incredibly refreshing to move to a city that had such a strong musical community, and I was grateful that the station was there for me when I needed it.
Back when you guys were first starting, do you remember that moment, hearing your music on KSW?
Yeah, I do very much. Damon Stewart played us. My girlfriend Gretchen knew him from school, and she sent him the cassette and said, "I think you should hear this band that my boyfriend's in." And he played us that following Sunday, and not just the shock value of hearing yourself on the radio, but the fact that somebody that you had listened to for years and years and years actually thought that your music was of value to be played on a radio station. And of course, Kathy Faulkner was a huge supporter of ours as well. And hearing it on the locals thing was really, really special. But then when the record came out and you guys started playing Change and You, the unedited version of You, and that's kind of when it really solidified it to me that maybe, there was a real opportunity for this, band that came along a couple years after everybody else was making it, and had we not been supported by bands like Sweetwater and Green Apple Quickstep, I don't know if anybody would have ever heard Candlebox. We were playing a lot of friends' garages and basement parties. So thanks to Damon and the guys in Sweetwater and Green Apple and Kathy and everybody, and of course KISW for being so supportive of local music. I mean, I think that you guys were such a huge catalyst for the Seattle music scene. I don't think that radio gets enough credit. Certainly KISW doesn't get enough credit for being so instrumental in that and supporting all those bands so early on. It's really pretty special.
We're talking to Kevin Martin of Candlebox. And Kevin, since you talked about how you came here in 1984, and I, the same thing, as well as Steve, we came from somewhere else, and we've been here for a long time. And there is something special. Can you put your finger on why it is that for some reason rock, KISW, the great music that came out of this city, is there something about this city, something that things happen here and endure here in the world of rock that don't elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, there's an honesty. I think, the beauty of Seattle, and what I found when I moved there was everybody was so kind of real and sincere and honest. The music was certainly, the people that were playing, the band members that were playing it, the stations that were supporting it. It really felt like it was a community, and people honestly loved their rock and roll in that city. It's I don't know if there's another city in the United States who has that kind of just belief in the music being the most important thing to it. It just feels like Seattle is and will always be the small town that could, and musicians that just did it the way they wanted to do it. And I think that's what's so amazing about, KISW as well. You guys did the same thing. You didn't follow the rules. You don't have that across the United States, man. And it's, I only hope that KISW celebrates another 100 years, man, or another 50 years and makes it to 100, because
I'll take 100. I'll take it. You give me as many years as I can get. I'll take it all.
I love it though, man. I do. I come home and I turn it on, and it's when I get off the airplane and I get my rental car, it's the first thing I turn on, and it's the last thing I turn off. When I get back on that plane to come back to LA, I really do love the station. I love seeing you guys, and I love how supportive you are still.
One of my favorite KISW memories was the time that you came in studio with the bandmates and you guys did Far Behind acoustic. It was a few years ago. And you also shared the story that song was about Andy Wood. And as a guy, Gentle Groove is the song that my wife and I danced to when we got married. Like, we're obsessed Mother Love Bone fans. And hearing that story and then listening to that song and just put it in a whole different perspective, it was such a special morning. And I'll never forget that. And that's still, like, when people ask me my favorite KISW memories, that is definitely one that I will always share, man. It was such a cool thing to hear.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Andy was just really special to me. Being that I had moved there, a transplant from Texas, and I was working at Fluvog Shoes, this person would come in and just kind of sit down and chat. And that was weird for me because I didn't really know any of those musicians. I didn't grow up with them. So the fact that he wanted to talk music and share his opinions of things was just so kind of a beautiful gift for somebody like me, a 16, 17-year-old kid who looked up to what he was doing. And Malfunction was my favorite band. Yeah. So I tried to get Regan Haggard to play in my band for, close to going on 10 years now, and he still won't do it. There's everything about Andy that I never forget, and I never will forget. And it was, for me to write a song just to tell him how much he meant to me was the simplest thing I could do.
And Kevin, is there anything you want to tell us about what's going on with you, what you're doing creatively, musically, anything we can look forward to? If there's anything, I'd love to give you an opportunity since you've been so kind to say so many great things about us.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, it's not hard to talk great things about KISW or you guys for sure. We were supposed to do the 2 shows at the Paramount last year. That's been postponed till November this year. We're still looking forward to doing that. We've got a new record that's coming out, I believe in August or September, called Wolves. We got a streaming concert that's coming up in March. We're doing 2 nights. I'm kind of interested to see how this whole thing's working. We're looking forward to actually the 5 of us being in a room together and playing some music again. But the goal is to start touring again in September. Fingers crossed that happens.
Well, I love the song Let Me Down Easy, so I look forward to hearing the rest of the record when it does come out.
Thank you.
Kevin Martin, Candlebox. Kevin, thank you for all the kind words, and thank you for all your contribution that help us get to 50. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you guys for giving me a career, man.
That's awesome. Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate you, man.
We'll see ya.
We are celebrating 50 years of KISW all weekend. all weekend. And you're going to be hearing from some of your favorite rock stars, like Kevin, as a matter of fact, plus great KISW alum.
And someone even texted saying, hey, earlier this morning, so it's cool that we were able to get some love for Andrew Wood. They said, hey, happy 50th. Super stoked for today. Please give some love for Andrew Wood. I always feel like he's left out. Truly one of the greatest artists that came out of the Northwest.
Very, very timely, and you'll definitely hear that with a lot of local and national musicians that came out of here with lots of love for Andrew, just like Kevin had. And it is going to be a day of stories, great stories from alum, from people like Kevin and people like you. It's KISW's 50th anniversary weekend.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. Here's another question from a listener. I'm getting my wages garnished. Can bankruptcy help with that?
Absolutely. One of the big reasons people file bankruptcy is because they have a judgment or a lawsuit against them, or their wages are getting garnished, and so they can't pay their other regular ongoing bills. People sometimes think that you can't file bankruptcy once they have a judgment against them or once a garnishment has started, and that's not true. Filing bankruptcy will immediately stop any garnishment that you have going, except for child support, and stop your creditors from continuing on with garnishments of your bank account, your wages, and in most cases will discharge that liability through the bankruptcy process. And we can file a bankruptcy case for you usually the day you come in.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com. Thanks for listening.
Wenatchee is gorgeous in the spring with its lush green rolling hills, abundant wildflowers everywhere, and the views of the Columbia River. The local food scene offers an abundant selection of authentic international cuisines featuring the unique farm-fresh ingredients of the region. Wenatchee is also home to award-winning wines, handcrafted hard ciders, and a talented handful of local brewers producing fine craft beers. Visit Wenatchee, the heart of Washington State.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too-big-to-fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.